Urgent, Antetokounmpo makes a strong statement about the Lakers. Stay until the end to find out everything, but first leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any Lakers news. There's a reason why whispers of Giannis Antetokounmpo joining the Los Angeles Lakers send shockwaves through the NBA landscape. It's not just about skill or fit, it's about legacy, identity, and the tension between individual values and franchise tradition. Giannis, the unshakably loyal leader of the Milwaukee Bucks, stands as a symbol of perseverance, growth, and humble dominance. The Lakers, meanwhile, are a monument to stardom, spectacle, and dynastic ambition. The idea of merging these two forces is as fascinating as it is uncertain. Giannis didn't rise to prominence by taking shortcuts. Drafted as a skinny, unknown international prospect, he became a global superstar through relentless work and patience. He stayed loyal to a small market team when it would have been easier to chase brighter lights elsewhere. And when he finally reached the NBA mountaintop in 2021, it was not just a championship, it was a vindication of everything he stood for. To many, that moment seemed to cement him as a lifelong Buck. But the league never sleeps. Circumstances shift. Contenders fade. Front offices change course. And even the most grounded stars are human. They evolve, they dream, they reassess. In recent years, Giannis has subtly hinted at openness to new paths if winning becomes harder to sustain in Milwaukee. Not as a betrayal, but as a professional reckoning with time, opportunity, and the pursuit of continued greatness. Enter the Lakers. No franchise commands more media attention, more global interest, or more gravitational pull than the purple and gold. For decades, they've been a haven for legends. Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and more recently LeBron James. It's a franchise where greatness is expected, and every season is measured against the ghosts of championships past. Giannis, known for shunning spotlight and preferring quiet grind over bright lights, represents a contrast to that culture. But perhaps that's exactly what makes the idea so intriguing. From a competitive standpoint, the match makes sense. The Lakers, always in pursuit of banners, have been in search of a post-LeBron identity. Giannis, in the prime of his career, offers more than just elite play. He brings credibility, leadership, and a championship mindset. In him, the Lakers could find not only their next face of the franchise but a leader capable of restoring structure and hunger to a team that sometimes drifts between eras. But this hypothetical union is more than just XS and OS. There's a philosophical collision here. Giannis prides himself on loyalty and organic growth, while the Lakers are known for power moves, fast rebuilds, and flashy signings. Would he adapt to that machine or would he reshape it in his own image? Could he wear the jersey once donned by icons without losing the identity that made him beloved in Milwaukee? Giannis has always seemed disinterested in building super teams or chasing easy paths to rings. He once said he didn't want to leave Milwaukee to team up with others because he wanted to do it the hard way. Yet over time, that mindset has shown signs of maturing, not abandoning his principles but adapting them to new realities. He wants to win. He wants to grow. And if that means moving to a team with championship pedigree, so be it, provided it fits his values. That's where the Lakers' future comes into focus. They're no longer just a glamour team. They've built a reputation for defense, depth, and grit when they get the roster right. If a version of the Lakers emerged that matched Giannis's hunger, his energy, and his drive, one that respected the process and didn't just rely on names, he might just see himself in that vision. Still, the risks are real. Media scrutiny in LA is unlike anything he's experienced. Every game is a headline. Every quote is a story. Could a player who prefers his privacy thrive in a place where cameras never blink? Could his quiet leadership echo as loudly as the theatrics that the Lakers have long embraced? As fans and analysts speculate, one thing remains undeniable. Giannis's next chapter, wherever it takes place, will define a new standard. If he stays in Milwaukee, he reinforces the mythos of loyalty. If he joins a team like the Lakers, he challenges himself in a way few greats ever do, by embracing the pressure, the expectations, and the chaos that comes with being the center of attention in basketball's biggest arena. The conversation has just begun. What could Giannis in Los Angeles really mean? Not just for his career but for the future of the NBA itself? If Giannis Antetokounmpo were to walk through the doors of the Lakers facility, he wouldn't just be entering a new franchise, he'd be stepping into an intricate ecosystem. The current roster of the Lakers, a blend of veterans, rising stars, and role players, has a rhythm of its own. Introducing a force like Giannis into that mix would either create a symphony or spark friction. The question is, how would that chemistry play out? Let's start with the big picture. Giannis is not your typical superstar. He's not driven by ego, he doesn't demand offensive priority in the traditional sense, and he leads more by example than by domination. He plays hard every possession, expects the same from his teammates, and values effort above flair. In that sense, he would mesh well with players who thrive on energy, hustle, and sacrifice. Now imagine Giannis alongside Anthony Davis. On paper, it sounds like a defensive dream. Two of the most versatile big men in the league, both capable of guarding multiple positions, protecting the rim, and switching on the perimeter. The paint would be a no-fly zone. Offensively, things get more interesting. Both players operate best near the basket, and spacing could become an issue if not managed carefully. Davis has developed a decent mid-range game and has occasionally stretched the floor with threes, but neither is a natural perimeter shooter. The solution? Structure. Coaching would have to evolve the offense into a more modern, movement-based system. Picture Giannis initiating the break, Davis trailing, wings spreading the floor, and high-percentage decisions at every touch. The Lakers would need shooters, reliable, consistent ones, to keep defenses honest. Without that, things could get cramped quickly. But Giannis isn't just a paint beast. He's also a creative passer, an underrated facilitator, and someone who draws double teams like gravity. Players like Austin Reaves, for instance, would benefit immensely. Reaves, known for his craftiness and IQ, could feast on open looks and secondary playmaking opportunities. Giannis often rewards players who move without the ball, cut with purpose, and commit on defense. That fits Reaves perfectly. Then there's the question of point guard play. Giannis often acts as a point forward, initiating offense himself. If the Lakers had a more traditional ball handler on the roster, like D'Angelo Russell or a similar player, there would need to be clarity about roles. Would Giannis lead the offense? Would the floor general adapt to playing more off-ball? These are the types of challenges that either break or build championship contenders. The good news is Giannis is adaptable. He has evolved his game every season, refining his passing, improving his court awareness, and learning how to maximize the talent around him. He doesn't need to score 35 points to dominate a game. He influences everything: tempo, spacing, effort, and energy. What he would demand in return, however, is commitment. Giannis doesn't tolerate laziness. He won't accept a teammate who walks through defensive rotations or drifts during offensive sets. That might put pressure on certain players who prefer a looser, highlight-driven style of play. With Giannis, it's not about flash, it's about function. And let's not forget the mentorship angle. Giannis is only in his late 20s, but he plays with the wisdom of a veteran. Young players on the Lakers, whether it's a promising draft pick or a second-year project, would benefit enormously from his presence. His work ethic is contagious, and his leadership, quiet but firm, often elevates those around him. There could be tension too. Integrating a superstar of his magnitude always risks disturbing locker room dynamics. Players accustomed to certain roles may have to sacrifice. Minutes will be reallocated. Priorities will shift. But the right kind of team sees that as a challenge to rise, not retreat. Ultimately, Giannis wouldn't just join a roster. He'd reshape its identity. The Lakers, who have often relied on top-heavy talent, would become more balanced. Defense would take center stage. Effort would be non-negotiable. And the team's ceiling? Sky high. The question is whether the players around him would rise to his level, or fall under the weight of his expectations. For Giannis Antetokounmpo, success has never been about fame, it's been about purpose. He's built his career with a focus on discipline, consistency, and humility, often shying away from glitz and glamour in favor of work ethic and results. That's why imagining him in Los Angeles, the epicenter of celebrity culture, raises an important question. How would a grounded superstar like Giannis handle the world of lights, cameras, and constant attention? Los Angeles is unlike any other NBA city. It's not just about basketball, it's about narrative. Players aren't just athletes. They're public figures, brand ambassadors, and often entertainment icons. LeBron James, for instance, has mastered this balance, maintaining elite performance on the court while building media ventures, social impact projects, and business empires off of it. For some stars, that dual life is exhilarating. For Giannis, it might be overwhelming. He's not the type to chase magazine covers or red carpet appearances. Throughout his career, Giannis has made it clear. He plays for legacy, not headlines. He prefers stability, structure, and focus. In Milwaukee, he's been able to control the narrative. There's a comfort in the Midwest, where media pressure is limited and distractions are fewer. Los Angeles offers none of that insulation. It's a fishbowl where every quote becomes a soundbite, every loss is dissected, and every moment, good or bad, is magnified. But Giannis is no stranger to pressure. He's played through high expectations, led his team through adversity, and delivered when it mattered most. What he hasn't yet experienced is the type of off-court pressure that comes with being the face of the most watched franchise in the league, where basketball and business are deeply intertwined. Sponsorship deals would multiply. Social media would explode. Paparazzi would follow. His family would be thrust into the limelight in a way they never have been before. Would he be able to maintain his inner calm and authenticity in that environment? On the other hand, Giannis might bring something refreshing to the city, a counterbalance to the excess. His humility, humor, and grounded perspective could resonate deeply with fans tired of the typical Hollywood image. He wouldn't need to change to fit in. Rather, the Lakers might adapt to him. Imagine a new Lakers era not built on glitz, but on grit, a team grounded in effort, integrity, and resilience. Giannis could lead that shift. Los Angeles is a city of opportunity, and if Giannis wanted to, he could expand his brand globally from that platform. Movies, products, philanthropy, he would have access to the biggest stages. But would he want that? And more importantly, could he balance it with his identity as a pure competitor? His previous comments suggest he's not opposed to growth, only to distraction. If the Lakers could offer him a basketball-first environment, with leadership that shares his hunger and vision, the setting might not be a burden at all. Instead, it could become a stage to show the world that success doesn't have to come at the cost of character. Still, the shift in pace would be significant. In Milwaukee, Giannis can focus. In LA, he would need to learn how to navigate noise, constant interviews, media narratives, and a city that turns wins into festivals and losses into crises. Not every athlete thrives in that world. But Giannis might just be the exception, if he sees it as a new challenge rather than a threat to his values. Ultimately, the question isn't just whether Giannis can handle Los Angeles. It's whether Los Angeles is ready for him. For a city so used to theatrics and showmanship, a star who values humility over hype might seem like an anomaly. But maybe that's exactly what the franchise and the city needs. Giannis wouldn't arrive in LA to become someone else. He'd come to prove that a player can reach the highest heights while staying true to who they are. And in doing so, he might not only change the Lakers, but redefine what greatness in Hollywood can look like. Every NBA franchise has a blueprint, an internal plan for how it builds, sustains, and evolves its identity over time. For the Los Angeles Lakers, that plan has historically revolved around star power. From Magic Johnson to Kobe Bryant to LeBron James, the Lakers have always chased greatness through elite talent acquisition. But adding Giannis Antetokounmpo would require more than just another superstar signing. It would demand a full recalibration of how the Lakers build their future. Let's start with the obvious. Giannis is not just a name. He's a system. He alters how teams function on both ends of the floor. His presence changes the pace, the spacing, the hierarchy, even the locker room culture. If he joined the Lakers, he wouldn't be just another piece. He'd become the axis around which everything turns. From a roster standpoint, the Lakers' front office would have to make key decisions. Surrounding Giannis with the right players isn't optional, it's essential. That means shooting. Lots of it. Giannis thrives when the court is spread, allowing him to drive and dish, collapse defenses, and open lanes for slashers or catch-and-shoot threats. Players who can consistently hit shots from deep, move off the ball, and defend their position would instantly become priority signings. That also means making hard calls. Role players who can't space the floor or don't match Giannis's defensive intensity might not fit the new model. Stars who prefer isolation-heavy basketball or who dominate the ball could create friction. The front office would need to think strategically, not sentimentally. The goal wouldn't be to add Giannis to what already exists, but to build a team for him. Then there's the coaching perspective. Giannis demands more than just respect. He requires innovation. Coaches who can't think beyond traditional playbooks won't maximize his impact. In Milwaukee, his development blossomed under systems that let him initiate offense, operate in transition, and exploit mismatches through creative spacing and tempo control. The Lakers would need a staff willing to hand him the reins, while still constructing a system where others thrive too. This shift wouldn't just affect lineups and rotations. It would change timelines. With LeBron James in the twilight of his career and Anthony Davis navigating injuries and expectations, Giannis would instantly become the cornerstone of the next Lakers era. Every draft pick, trade, and signing would be viewed through the lens of building around him for the next 5 to 7 years. That also means continuity would matter more than ever. The Lakers have often been quick to reshuffle, flipping rosters season after season in pursuit of quick success. With Giannis, patience becomes a weapon. Stability becomes strategic. Giving players time to grow alongside him, developing chemistry and system familiarity, could lead to long-term dominance, not just short bursts of contention. Off the court, the strategic changes are just as significant. Giannis represents a different kind of branding opportunity, one rooted in authenticity and global appeal. His story connects with fans worldwide, particularly in Europe and Africa. The Lakers, already a global brand, would gain an ambassador who expands their reach in new directions. Marketing plans, international campaigns, and community initiatives would evolve to reflect this new identity. And yet, all of this strategic planning would hinge on a core principle. Giannis can't do it alone. The Lakers would have to resist the temptation of building another top-heavy roster. Instead, they'd need to prioritize depth, versatility, and chemistry. That means keeping an eye on development, investing in younger players who complement Giannis's skill set, and who can grow under his influence. Imagine a Lakers team with Giannis as the centerpiece, surrounded by athletic wings, smart playmakers, and elite defenders, all guided by a coach who values unselfishness, speed, and defensive dominance. It wouldn't just be a team built to win. It would be a team built to last. In the end, bringing in Giannis wouldn't be about repeating the past. It would be about starting something new. A new culture. A new foundation. A new era that could stand on its own, separate from the dynasties of the past, but equally powerful. And that's the essence of what Giannis represents. Not just a superstar, but a structure. A philosophy. A future. Championships are built on talent, but they're sustained through culture. For the Los Angeles Lakers, culture has long been tied to legacy, an expectation to win, a history of icons, and an aura of greatness. But in recent years, that foundation has shown cracks. Inconsistency, off-court distractions, and an over-reliance on star power have occasionally replaced the grit and unity that once defined the franchise. Enter Giannis Antetokounmpo, a player whose mindset could reawaken the core values that make dynasties last. Giannis doesn't tolerate complacency. He doesn't ride highs for too long, nor dwell on defeats. His mentality is rooted in repetition, humility, and an obsession with self-improvement. These aren't just personal habits, they're contagious qualities. When a leader trains like he's undrafted, competes like he's underappreciated, and holds himself accountable before blaming others, that attitude spreads. Now imagine that mentality injected into the fabric of the Lakers' locker room. In recent seasons, the Lakers have struggled with maintaining intensity across an 82-game grind. Games where focus slips, defensive lapses, sudden drops in urgency. These things may seem minor, but in championship pursuits, they're the difference between dominance and disappointment. Giannis wouldn't tolerate that kind of erosion. More importantly, he would challenge others not to accept it either. From the first day of training camp, Giannis would raise the baseline. Practices would be more competitive. Conditioning would matter again. Role players would be expected to do more than just fill in. He demands maximum effort from teammates, whether you're the third option or the 12th man. And he leads by example, never asking anyone to do what he wouldn't do himself. That kind of environment could reignite the hunger that defined the early 2000s Lakers, or the 2020 bubble team that rode together through discipline and sacrifice. Giannis brings back the idea that championships aren't won by reputation. They're earned in the shadows, in film rooms, weight rooms, and late-night shooting sessions. This cultural transformation would also require buy-in from everyone around him, from coaching staff to support personnel. The Lakers would need to move away from the star-centric comfort zone and toward a merit-based, grinded-out mentality. Giannis thrives under systems where everyone knows their job, competes for it daily, and values the little things, setting a hard screen, closing out with effort, boxing out on every rebound. For young players, this would be an awakening. Imagine rookies being mentored not with words, but by watching Giannis spend extra time after practice, or run full-speed drills without cameras present. He doesn't preach leadership, he lives it. Players like Austin Reeves or any upcoming draft pick could flourish under that structure. Their work would have meaning. Their growth would be prioritized. For veterans, it would be a challenge. Older players often fall into rhythms, preserving energy, pacing themselves, relying on past achievements. Giannis would unknowingly expose that. Not through confrontation but through comparison. His effort would shine a light on any player going half speed. That's the kind of unspoken accountability that transforms a group from teammates into a unit. And what about coaching? Giannis respects authority that's earned. He buys into coaches who prepare, adapt, and hold everyone to the same standard. He won't clash with leadership, but he expects leadership to lead. That means no favoritism. No excuses. Just results. That pressure could force the Lakers coaching staff to evolve, becoming more strategic, more vocal, and more demanding. From the outside, this might seem like overkill. After all, the Lakers already have banners, trophies, and legends. But culture isn't about what's been done, it's about what comes next. And for the Lakers to build a sustainable future, they need a new internal engine. One that doesn't depend on headlines or star wattage, but on habits, principles, and shared hunger. Giannis could provide that engine. He wouldn't just help win games, he'd rebuild a mindset. One that says, we don't just expect success. We earn it. And in doing so, he could restore something more valuable than rings, the soul of the franchise. The NBA thrives on storylines, and few stories are more enduring than its great rivalries. The Lakers are no strangers to these battles. Duels with the Celtics, playoff wars with the Spurs, recent tensions with the Warriors, and a generational tug-of-war with teams like the Clippers and Suns. These rivalries define eras, shape legacies, and keep fans emotionally invested year after year. Now picture this. Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the league's most dominant forces, donning the purple and gold. Immediately, every existing rivalry gains new weight and new meaning. Let's begin with the most iconic, Lakers versus Celtics. With 17 championships each, the two franchises have long fought for supremacy, not just on the court but in legacy. Adding Giannis to the Lakers would feel like a shot fired in this cold war of dominance. Boston, with its young, hungry core led by Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, has been knocking on the door of greatness. But a Lakers squad powered by Giannis would raise the stakes exponentially. Imagine an NBA Finals showdown between the two, Giannis versus Tatum, legacy versus ambition, history versus hunger. Every possession would matter. Every play would echo through time. And with Giannis's relentless style of play, the Celtics would be forced to respond not just with talent, but with toughness. The rivalry, dormant in recent years, would erupt with new fire. Now consider Lakers versus Warriors. A modern-day duel of philosophies. Golden State built its dynasty on spacing, pace, and precision. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green revolutionized the game with movement and shooting. Giannis represents the antithesis of that model. Brute force, transition dominance, and relentless pressure at the rim. This clash of styles would make every matchup must-watch. Giannis driving downhill against a stretched-out Warriors defense. Steph trying to find space as Giannis switches onto him at the perimeter. Two different approaches to greatness colliding, and possibly defining the league's next power balance. Then there's the intra-city feud, Lakers versus Clippers. While the Clippers have often played the role of little brother in Los Angeles, their recent roster depth and playoff grit have earned respect. But bringing in Giannis would once again tilt the scale, and make every battle of LA feel like a territorial war. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, known for their perimeter defense, would now be tasked with stopping a freight train in Giannis. The Staples Center, or Crypto.com Arena, would become the backdrop to games filled with energy, tension, and meaning. Each possession would feel like a statement of who truly owns the city. And we can't ignore emerging rivalries. Teams like Phoenix, led by stars like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, would immediately circle Lakers games on their calendars. A Giannis-led Lakers squad would no longer be a tough opponent, they'd be the opponent. The team everyone wants to beat to prove they belong. This target on the Lakers' back would have consequences. Every game would be a battle. But Giannis is built for that. He welcomes pressure. He elevates under scrutiny. His presence would not only intensify rivalries, it would legitimize them. Because when he steps on the court, winning becomes personal. Off the court, the narratives would swirl. Media coverage would explode. Giannis quotes would be dissected, opposing players would be baited into sound bites, and fanbases would turn every regular season clash into a playoff-caliber event. The league, always looking for its next big headline, would feast on the drama. But more importantly, these rivalries would forge something deeper, respect. Because as much as fans love the fireworks, players recognize when they're facing someone who makes them better. And Giannis does that. He forces opponents to dig deeper, defend harder, and focus sharper. He raises the quality of the product. For the Lakers, that means returning to their true identity. Not just as a destination for talent, but as the epicenter of competition. The team that brings out the best, or the worst, in its rivals. The franchise that everyone wants to beat because beating them means something. Giannis would make every rivalry feel alive again. He'd bring stakes to games that used to feel routine. And he'd carry the weight of those matchups with pride, not pressure. Because for him, basketball isn't about showdowns, it's about proving, every night, that greatness must be earned. And with that mindset, the Lakers' rivalries wouldn't just be headlines. They'd be battles for history. The NBA is more than a league, it's a global phenomenon. Over the past 2 decades, basketball has grown into one of the most consumed sports in the world, thanks in large part to the international reach of its superstars. Few franchises have contributed more to this globalization than the Los Angeles Lakers. And few players today carry more global weight than Giannis Antetokounmpo. So what happens when those two forces collide? The answer: a seismic shift in how the sport is seen, celebrated, and consumed worldwide. Giannis's story is universally resonant. Born in Greece to Nigerian parents, raised under difficult circumstances, and rising from street vendor to 2-time MVP, he embodies what the international basketball dream looks like. Millions of fans outside the United States don't just admire his game, they relate to his journey. He represents hope, perseverance, and the power of discipline. His reach extends far beyond highlight reels. It's deeply human. Pair that with the Lakers, a brand already synonymous with NBA royalty, and you create a global engine with unmatched reach. The Lakers are not just a team, they're an institution. From Shanghai to Lagos, from Paris to Manila, the purple and gold represent more than basketball. They represent stardom, history, drama, and excellence. When a player joins the Lakers, their brand multiplies. When Giannis joins them, the effect becomes exponential. In Europe, particularly in Greece, Giannis is already a national icon. But in a Lakers jersey, his visibility would rise to levels previously reserved for legends like Kobe Bryant. Greek fans wouldn't just follow him, they'd follow the Lakers. Broadcast deals would expand. Jersey sales would skyrocket. Greek language content around the Lakers would suddenly have global priority. And in Africa, the cultural impact could be even greater. Giannis's Nigerian heritage connects him directly to a continent that's rapidly becoming one of the NBA's most important talent and fan markets. The NBA Academy programs, Basketball Africa League, and youth development systems across the continent have grown in visibility, but they still need visible, relatable stars to inspire the next generation. Giannis as a Laker wouldn't just draw fans, he'd awaken dreamers. Imagine NBA camps in Lagos where kids aren't just copying Giannis's moves, they're doing it while wearing Lakers jerseys. Imagine watch parties in Nairobi, Dakar, or Johannesburg filled with fans cheering for a team thousands of miles away, not because of geography but because of identity. The Lakers wouldn't just be America's team anymore, they'd be Africa's team, Europe's team, the world's team. From a business standpoint, the synergy would be staggering. The Lakers are already one of the most valuable franchises in global sports. Giannis would push their brand even further into emerging markets. Sponsorships in new languages, collaborations with international brands, expanded social media strategy targeting fans on multiple continents. The Lakers' digital ecosystem would have to grow to meet global demand. The NBA itself would benefit immensely. International TV rights deals would rise. Ticket sales during Lakers road games, already high, would hit record levels in every international friendly city. The league's investment in global engagement would suddenly have its ideal ambassador. A humble, dominant, multilingual giant who respects the game and commands global admiration. And let's not forget the symbolism. When Giannis raises a trophy in a Lakers uniform, it wouldn't just be a win for Los Angeles. It would be a win for every underdog in the world. A statement that basketball doesn't belong to one country or one culture, but to everyone who believes, works, and dares. The Lakers, often associated with Hollywood glamour, would now be tied to a player who values sweat over spotlight. That blend of global recognition and grounded mentality could reshape how international fans view the team. It would humanize the franchise. It would add depth to its already massive reputation. In a time when the NBA seeks new markets, deeper connections, and stronger narratives, there may be no better pairing than Giannis and the Lakers. Because together they don't just dominate the game. They redefine how the world watches it. Putting on a Lakers jersey comes with more than fabric and stitching. It carries a crown, an invisible weight forged by decades of greatness, media scrutiny, and expectations that never sleep. For many players, that weight can be suffocating. But for someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo, it presents something else entirely, a challenge of character. Giannis has always been defined by his mindset. He doesn't chase fame. He avoids distractions. He focuses on the work, not the attention. And yet, joining the Lakers would thrust him into a different kind of spotlight. One that doesn't dim. One that shines even when the ball isn't bouncing. Los Angeles is not Milwaukee. In LA, every missed free throw becomes a debate. Every comment becomes a headline. Every game, no matter how early in the season, feels like a referendum on legacy. The media is louder, the critics are closer, and the pressure is constant. The question isn't whether Giannis could handle it, but how it might change him. On one hand, Giannis thrives under pressure. His career has been shaped by the burden of expectations, from supporting his family as a teenager in Greece to becoming the face of a small-market franchise. He's endured playoff failures, injury doubts, and roster instability. Each time he returns stronger, more focused, and more determined. That resilience is his armor. But the Lakers' brand of pressure is different. It's emotional. It's generational. Fans don't just hope for wins, they demand banners. The media doesn't just report, they dissect, speculate, and dramatize. A single playoff series can alter how a player is remembered. That's the psychological terrain Giannis would have to navigate. The key would lie in how he balances two identities, the humble, grounded worker he's always been, and the icon he would inevitably become in LA. There's a reason some stars struggle with this duality. The Lakers are a franchise where charisma matters. The lights aren't just brighter, they're personal. Every practice becomes a spectacle. Every quote is interpreted. For a player like Giannis, who's guarded with his emotions and loyal to his values, that level of constant access could feel intrusive. But there's also opportunity there. Because in that same spotlight lies the chance to redefine leadership. Giannis doesn't need to perform off the court to earn respect. His authenticity is his magnet. He doesn't chase headlines, yet he commands them. In LA, that contrast, between Hollywood flair and humble drive, could create a new model of what it means to be a Lakers superstar. One who leads not by talking but by grinding. One who proves that greatness isn't always loud. Emotionally, Giannis would also be stepping into the shadow of legends. Kobe, Magic, Kareem. Players who defined eras and set impossible standards. That comparison, while inevitable, could be both a motivator and a burden. Would he feel the need to match their accomplishments? Would he chase numbers? Would he sacrifice joy for validation? Knowing Giannis, he wouldn't change his approach. But the emotional toll of constantly being measured against ghosts could weigh on anyone, even someone as mentally tough as him. That's where the Lakers organization would need to step in, not just with resources but with stability. Giannis functions best in environments where trust is mutual, communication is honest, and loyalty is rewarded. The front office, coaching staff, and locker room culture would need to protect his mindset, not exploit his brand. Off the court, the emotional connection between Giannis and Lakers fans would grow over time. At first, there would be skepticism. Can he really fill the shoes of past heroes? But slowly, through consistency, humility, and undeniable effort, he would win hearts. Not with flash, but with fire. He'd be the kind of superstar who arrives at practice early, stays late, and speaks with actions. And for Lakers fans who value heart as much as highlight reels, that might be the most powerful legacy of all. Ultimately, leading the Lakers isn't just about stats or rings. It's about how you lead. The tone you set. The standard you uphold. The imprint you leave. Giannis wouldn't shy away from that responsibility. He'd embrace it with quiet conviction, carrying the crown not for status but for purpose. And in doing so, he could not only sustain the Lakers' legacy, he could evolve it. Superstars shape teams, but the truly great ones elevate others. In today's NBA, where rosters change rapidly and dynasties are fleeting, long-term success doesn't come just from top-heavy talent. It's built through development, mentorship, and culture. And if Giannis Antetokounmpo were to join the Lakers, one of his most significant contributions wouldn't just be what he scores or defends. It would be how he prepares the next generation to rise. The Lakers, even as a franchise known for marquee names, have a long history of nurturing young talent. Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant. More recently, names like Austin Reeves and even late bloomers like Alex Caruso have found their footing in purple and gold. But too often, promising players are either traded or stunted by the pressure to win now. Giannis could shift that pattern. One of Giannis's most underrated qualities is his commitment to growth, both his own and that of others. In Milwaukee, he didn't just become great, he helped raise the level of everyone around him. Teammates who entered the league as role players developed under his example. He led not just with passion but with patience, an invaluable trait for young players still finding their identity. Imagine the impact of that energy on a Lakers roster with emerging talent. Let's start with someone like Austin Reeves, already a fan favorite due to his gritty playstyle and high IQ. Under Giannis's mentorship, Reeves could take another leap, not just in skill but in professionalism. The consistent preparation, the mental focus, the defensive urgency that Giannis demands, those things are infectious. And when a star of his magnitude sets the tone, others follow. But it goes deeper than that. The Lakers, as they move forward, will continue to acquire young prospects, either through the draft or as undervalued assets. Giannis would provide them with the ideal learning environment. Not through flashy guidance, but by example, staying late for shooting reps, holding himself accountable in film sessions, fighting for rebounds in preseason games as if they were the finals. That kind of intensity sends a clear message to rookies and sophomores. If he is doing this, then you better do more. That's how sustainable teams are built. Not just around talent, but around habits. Giannis also brings a mindset that prioritizes team play over individual stats. In an era of highlight culture and personal branding, young players can easily get lost chasing recognition instead of impact. But when your team leader dives for loose balls, takes charges, and celebrates your bucket more than his own, it realigns everyone's values. This kind of leadership would especially benefit international players or G League call-ups. those often overlooked or under immense pressure to prove themselves. Giannis knows what that feels like. He'd speak their language, literally and figuratively. And his presence could turn doubt into confidence, nerves into drive. Even beyond the court, his influence would be profound. Young players often struggle with fame, finances, and the identity shift that comes with being in the spotlight. Giannis, despite all he's achieved, has stayed grounded. His humility would be a blueprint. His loyalty to family, to values, and to gratitude would create a culture of perspective, a rarity in such a high-pressure environment. And let's not ignore how this model would attract even more young talent. Agents and families pay close attention to development environments. If the Lakers became known not just as a destination for stars, but as a school of discipline under Giannis's leadership, more prospects would want to be part of that system. It would shift the narrative. The Lakers wouldn't just buy greatness, they'd build it. Over time, that influence would outlast Giannis's prime. Players molded by him would carry his standards forward, passing them on to the next wave. It's how dynasties perpetuate themselves. It's how the Spurs thrived under Tim Duncan. It's how the Warriors extended their window through development. And it's how the Lakers, with Giannis as the cornerstone, could ensure that the post-superstar era never feels like a fall-off. Giannis wouldn't just be a bridge between eras, he'd be the foundation of something new. A Lakers team not only driven by championship dreams, but rooted in the daily grind of improvement. A franchise that doesn't just collect names but shapes legacies. And in doing so, Giannis would give the next generation not just a role model, but a roadmap. Every era of basketball has its defining moments. Those chapters in history where the game's narrative shifts, legends are born, and the future is rewritten. The joining of Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Los Angeles Lakers would be exactly one of those pivotal moments, not just for a team or a city but for the sport as a whole. The Lakers represent the pinnacle of basketball culture. Their banners hang in the rafters like trophies of time, chronicling battles, heartbreaks, and triumphs that have shaped the NBA's very identity. To wear that purple and gold is to become part of a lineage that stretches back decades. A lineage marked by icons like Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, and Kobe Bryant. Giannis entering that lineage would mean more than adding another superstar to the roster. It would symbolize a fusion of history and modernity. A bridge between past legends and future hopes. A declaration that greatness transcends style, nationality, and era. On the court, Giannis would bring a new dynamic to the Lakers. His unique combination of size, speed, and versatility would challenge conventional basketball wisdom. His relentless drive, both literally and figuratively, would push teammates and opponents alike to elevate their game. The Lakers would no longer just be a team to watch. They would be a force to reckon with. Beyond stats and wins, however, the impact would be cultural. Giannis is not just an elite athlete. He is a global ambassador for basketball's inclusive spirit. His journey from the streets of Athens to NBA stardom resonates with millions worldwide. His humility and work ethic stand in contrast to the celebrity culture often associated with superstars. This would change how fans perceive the Lakers. The franchise's Hollywood glamour would be balanced by Giannis's grounded authenticity. The spotlight would shine on a player who embodies resilience and team-first mentality, reminding everyone that greatness is earned through perseverance and sacrifice. Moreover, Giannis's presence would deepen the NBA's globalization. As explored earlier, his multicultural roots combined with the Lakers' worldwide brand would inspire new fans and players from all corners of the globe. The sport would continue to grow not just as entertainment but as a platform for dreams and unity. But perhaps the most profound legacy would be one of leadership. Giannis would demonstrate that leading a storied franchise is about more than titles and endorsements. It's about setting a standard, lifting others, and carrying a community's hopes with integrity. The Lakers' young players would learn from his example, creating a culture of accountability and humility that extends far beyond basketball. In time, as Giannis's career evolves, the impact of his tenure with the Lakers would be seen in countless ways. Championships won, records broken, rivalries reignited, and new stories told. Yet, the true measure of his legacy would be found in the respect he earned, from teammates, opponents, and fans, and the inspiration he ignited in future generations. The story of Giannis and the Lakers would not be just about a player joining a franchise. It would be about a sport embracing its global future while honoring its rich past. It would be about a man who, through dedication and heart, redefined what it means to wear the purple and gold. And in doing so, he would leave a mark on basketball that lasts far beyond any single season or championship. Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Los Angeles Lakers, together writing the next great chapter in the game's history.